Thank you for joining us on Business Now. I am Frank Omalape. Despite challenges in the economy, the Nigerian banking system has remained sound and resilient, according to the Central Bank of Nigeria. The CBN disclosed these in a statement by a member of the Monetary Policy Committee, Kingsley Obiora, after its last meeting in Abuja. He stated that the banking system remains sound, safe, and resilient, just as industry non-performing loans decreased from 4.9% in December 2021 to 4.2% in December 2022, which was below the maximum prudential requirement of 5%. According to him, the decline in non-performing loans was attributable to write-offs, restructuring of facilities, global standing instruction, and sound credit risk management by banks. Obiora said total assets of the banking industry grew by 14.36 trillion naira, at about 24.24% from 59.24 trillion naira in December 2021 to 73.59 trillion naira in December 2022, driven by balances with CBN investment and credit expansion to the real sector. He said total gross credit increased by 5.14 trillion naira or 20.93% between the end of December 2021 and December 2022, from 24.57 trillion naira to 29.72 trillion naira, due to the increase in the industry funding base, as well as the CBN's directive on loan to deposit ratio, which has encouraged banks to increase lending to the real sector of the economy and business strategy and competition. In the meantime, the Human Rights Writers Association of Nigeria has asked President Muhammadu Buhari to turn in his resignation letter to prevent the collapse of the economy because of the challenges arising from the Naira redesign policy. In a statement signed by the group's executive director, Emmanuel Onwubiko, on Tuesday, the association criticized Buhari and the governor of the central bank, Godwin Emefiele, for deserting Nigerians in the middle of a cash crunch crisis, adding that both the president and the CBN governor had impoverished Nigerians and put the country on autopilot. The statement said the CBN governor, Godwin Emefiele, and President Muhammadu Buhari have sadly impoverished Nigerians with a needless Naira redesign policy that they used as a political tool against their opponent. He said Nigeria is on an autopilot mode as the Supreme Court makes a judgment, and President Muhammadu Buhari took off for a global trotting gambit in Qatar, while the CBN governor maintained sealed lips as millions of Nigerians wallow in an excruciating cash crunch. According to the association, if President Muhammadu Buhari is God-fearing and is a statesman, as he claims, then he had better turn in his resignation letter immediately to stave off the imminent economic collapse of Nigeria under his watch. The group said the president and the CBN governor had left Nigerians confused and commercial banks directionless as to whether to follow the Supreme Court order or the declaration of the president that old 500 and 1,000 notes are no longer valid, and that old 200 will stop being a legal tender on April 10th, 2023. The group also alleged that the president, who is also the Minister of Petroleum, had left motorists in long queues across the country to be extorted by criminally minded petroleum product distributors. The fresh move by some deposit money banks to recirculate old 500 and 1,000 Naira notes suffered a setback on Tuesday as motorists, fuel stations, retailers, traders, and other categories of bank customers rejected the old currencies. The development came about 48 hours after some commercial banks, particularly Guaranty Trust Bank, Zenith Bank, and Sterling Bank, began the disbursement of the 500 and 1,000 Naira note across their branches in major Nigerian cities. Commercial banks' decision to recirculate the old notes followed last week's Supreme Court order improving the use of 1,000, 500 and 200 Naira note as legal tender for 10 months. The Supreme Court had last Friday ordered that the old Naira notes should be allowed in circulation along with the new note until December 2023. The court had said the federal government's Naira redesign policy contravened the 1999 constitution. Major bank customer groups are ejecting the recirculated old 500 and 1,000 Naira note, hinging their argument on the fact that the CBN, the banking sector regulator, had yet to approve the use of the old notes as legal tender, except the old 200 Naira notes. And in the meantime, the scarcity of premium motor spirit, popularly called petrol in Abuja and other northern states, could persist till after Saturday's gubernatorial elections in various states, oil marketers said on Tuesday. Petrol scarcity became severe on Monday in Abuja, Nasarawa, Niger, and other states in the north as thousands of motorists besieged the few filling stations that dispensed the commodity in the area. The cost of petrol rose to as high as 400 Naira per litre at filling stations operated by the independent marketers, while black marketers sold the product for between 450 and 500 Naira per litre. Many motorists resorted to accessing the product from black markets, but most of these dealers lacked the ability to carry out mobile transactions, a development that worsened the sorry state of frustrated fuel seekers. The National Vice President, Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, Abubakar Maigandi, said the scarcity of petrol in the northern part of the country and some other states will drag till next week. He said most people, though there will be crises following the election, so they stop their trucks from going to lift products. But since there is no crisis so far, he said by next week, fuel should be available. And now, local airlines under the aegis of the Airline Operators of Nigeria have disclosed that aviation fuel, popularly known as Jet A1, has become scarce, a situation they say may lead to flight delays. The Assistant Secretary, Airline Operators of Nigeria, Ewos Iroro, disclosed this in Abuja on Tuesday. Iroro said aviation fuel is still not available and scarcity of the fuel is causing flight delays among airlines. Also, the spokesperson for Ibom Air, Ani Esenete, said aviation fuel price as of Tuesday was 800 Naira per litre in Lagos, 840 Naira per litre in Uyo, and 840 Naira in Abuja and in Port Harcourt. Meanwhile, the Nigerian aviation sector spent about $192 billion in 2022 on aviation fuel alone, according to a report by Phillips Consulting Limited. The report titled Nigeria's Aviation Industry Customer Satisfactory Survey, report 2022, showed that in the first 6 months of 2022, the jet fuel price rose by 70%. The Food and Agriculture Organization has stated that the benchmark index of international food commodity prices declined in February for the 11th consecutive month. A report on its website shows that food price index averaged 129.8 points in February, a marginal 0.6% decrease from January, but 18.7% down from its peak in March 2022. It said that the decline in the index, which tracks monthly changes in the international prices of commodity traded food commodities, reflected drops in quotations for vegetable oils and dairy products that more than offset a steep rise in sugar prices. The organization's cereal price index, according to the reports, remained virtually unchanged from January. No international wheat prices rose marginally during the month as concerns over dry conditions in the United States of America and robust demand for supplies from Australia were largely countered by a strong competition among exporters. The international rice prices eased by 1% due to a slowdown in trading activities in most major Asian exporters, whose currencies also depreciated against the United States dollar. In the meantime, the Lagos state government says it has commenced the release of impounded vehicles to their owners free of charge. The state said the decision was part of its effort to ease the sufferings of Lagosians brought about by the Naira redesign policy of the Central Bank of Nigeria. The vehicles to be released are those impounded for minor offenses, This was disclosed by the Lagos Commissioner for Transportation, Dr. Frederick Oladende, in an interview on Tuesday. Oladende also said that during the cash crunch period, the government reduced public transport fare by 50% on all state-funded public transport to alleviate the suffering of the people.